I used to think that investing was hard, boring, or complicated, but I found the perfect stock investing course that showed me how to invest as a complete newbie. Now I can build wealth in the stock market and do all the things that I enjoy at the same time. Check out the Lazy Investor Stock course and get started on your wealth building journey today.
Let's talk about why I believe that you need to get really familiar with option chains. If I'm trading a particular stock as an options trader, the options chain can often give me a signal that moves are getting ready to happen before they start to happen, or they can give me a signal that moves are getting ready to happen as they're happening, right? And one of the ways in which you can do this is you can continue to look at the chain. If you're constantly looking at the options chain for a particular ticker, you'll start to get familiar with what's on the chain. And then therefore, if something happens on the chain that didn't look like that the last time you looked at it, it'll start to stand out to you, right? And often what you'll see sometimes in the market, what I would say often what you will see in the market, right? Let me correct myself, is you will see some type of really weird options activity, sometimes months out, and then something will happen with that particular ticker later on, and it literally will fall in line with that particular options activity. You often will see somebody buying a lot of puts 6 months out. And then 30 days or 60 days after they bought those puts, a lot of really bad news will come out about that particular company. These are the kind of things that will stand out if you're familiar with looking at that particular option chain. And what I like to do is on the tickers that I'm trading, I like to consistently look at that chain. Don't mean I got to look at it every day, but I look at it 2 to 3 times a week. And with a ticker like Apple, there's going to be a lot more dates that you have to look at. With other tickers, some tickers only have monthly options expirations. There's a lot less dates you have to look at. However, what I do is I do get familiar with the chain. Now with a ticker like Apple, because there's so much open interest on the chains, it's going to be a little bit difficult for things to stand out because of the open interest. But with a lot of tickers, with many tickers that are not going to have this amount of volume that Apple has, it's going to be very easy for things to stand out. And one of the things I like to look for again is I like to look for really unusual options. Now, unusual options is a marketing term now in the space. What I mean by that is that where are people buying options that don't really seem in line with how it's currently trading? A good example would be a lot of way out of the money calls or a lot of way out of the money puts. That's something that would stand out, because why would somebody spend, X hundred thousands of dollars or sometimes even X millions of dollars going way out of the money, especially on a time frame that's 6 months or under, right? What you're going to get with a lot of these people that promote their option scan is they're going to show you, hey, somebody bought SPY calls going out 2 years and they spent $4 million. Well, it's 2 years from now, so it really doesn't matter that much. And the SPY just has really a lot of volume. When you're looking at an individual equity, when somebody buys, $500,000 worth of calls and they're $10 out of the money, but they're going 6 months out, that can mean something. It can mean that there's news getting ready to be reported about this particular company, and they're taking that position because what they want to do is benefit from that IV spike, right? It's a lot less likely to see that at or in the money. Often we see that type of really irregular activity way out of the money, right? Last year, myself and another trader in my Discord, we witnessed people buying Moderna puts at, I think, 110 and 120, which at that time was way out of the money because Moderna was 140. And they were buying March of this year. And what we saw happen over the next 35 to 60 days, we saw a lot of negative news come out on Moderna. Now Moderna's trading at $35. They had 110 and 120 puts at Moderna to expire in March of this year. They bought them about 6 months out, and they probably bought, let's say, $20 out of the money, and the other one was, $30 out of the money. And those puts really were not that expensive at that time because the IV wasn't high. Now that we're seeing Moderna fall so rapidly, the IV has spiked up. So not only did the fall, right, make those puts more expensive, the volatility being spiked up also made those puts more expensive. Those are the kind of things that want to really catch your attention. But it can only happen if you're looking at the options chain. Now, some people don't want to avoid this. It's cool. They just want to wake up in the morning and start trading things. I'm cool with that. But the way in which I've really been able to be successful in this market is through just study. It's through watching things, observing things, being patient, because the money's there. It may not always be in a shorter time frame. Let me give an example. I believe SIG is done. SIG is a jeweler. I believe they're done unless they reinvent their whole business model, right? I think by this time next year, SIG will be trading at under $30, right? Now, I may have to take a position on SIG if I was going to, and that may be unusual activity for SIG because their options chain is really not that liquid. It's really not. Spreads are relatively wide. But we've seen SIG fall from over $100 now to around the mid 50s now, and they're losing like $1 every day, but some of them people don't talk about. Okay, so the real benefit or the value of that type of play is the money's going to come, it's just not going to come fast. But I believe this time next year, SIG will probably be trading under $30, right? So if somebody was to have $80 or $90 puts that they bought a while back and they were elite puts going out, they still would have time to continue to monetize that, because if you look at SIG, they're losing like about 50 cents to $1 every day. It's a very slow grind down when people are divesting out of that particular play because they believe that their business model no longer works for the current market that we're in. You learn those things by continuing to look at the options chain, really understanding the ticker that you're trading, and also understanding that the market that you're in. With Apple, with the SPY, with Tesla, it's really not as valuable, right? Because you're going to see a lot of activity on every strike, on pretty much every expiration date. Tesla trades like that. Tesla will have people buying options going 6 months out, $40 out of the money. Like, it's that type of ticker. It's very, very volatile. They have a lot of volume. It may not mean as much, but on tickers that don't do that kind of volume, you could start to see maybe guideposts or signs of where you think they're trying to move this particular stock based on the options activity. And so I just don't like to go by just the option chain. I also like to look at the technicals, but also like to look at the fundamentals. So the options chain is going to be one part of a bigger puzzle, but I really want to encourage you to start taking the time to look at that options chain, understand what's going on, and put yourself in the best position to be successful. I am a big proponent of looking at the options chain because that's the market for the options that you're looking to buy and sell. So you really want to understand your market. And often when people are concerned with their entry and whether they come in on a trade, that answer is often on the options chain, right? You're not buying an equity, you're buying an option. So the question is, what is the market for the option that you're looking at that you're considering whether or not to buy? Your entry is often going to be determined by the options market, not necessarily where the stock is trading at that particular time. So I want to really encourage you to get into this type of work. This is the type of work that has allowed me to be successful. Again, if you're trading something that's extremely liquid like the SPY, or trading something extremely liquid like Tesla, maybe Apple, it may not be as relevant, but I'm not really on those tickers like that. I am from time to time, but I found a lot of success in being on tickers that a lot of people are not talking about. But I've gotten really, really good at evaluating the options that I'm buying and trying to figure out where are some of the mistakes made by market makers, where are some of the underpriced contracts, and that's often where my edge is going to be at. Hope you got some value from it. Talk to you later.